everybody, and a very warm welcome back to Tony Northeastern, and I hope you're all keeping and safe and well. And yes, normally we have an intro shot of trains running past one of the stations or just plainly running, and I wanted to run this K1 heavily weathered Hornby class, but it's playing up a little bit. The front pony truck wheels weren't turning, and it kept stuttering on a couple of points, and I think it's well and truly overdue for a good clean up. I can't remember the last time I serviced this locomotive, and hence why we're at the bench instead of doing a running shot. So it is fairly dusty, so I just use a brush and just very lightly take off any dust, and believe you me, there is a little bit of dust on here. And not only that, I have found the odd spider's web. It's been a while since I run this K1 class on the layout. Right, so let's have a closer look, see if I can clean this up a little bit more. Yeah, there's still the odd bit of gunk left in there. If I can get that out. There you go. Look at that, I just pulled that out. Just goes to show you how much stuff gets trapped in there. No matter how often you think you've got a clean layout, it still can get stuff trapped in your wheels. So the wheels are spinning a little bit freer now. So I'll just have a little bit of a poke around. Anyway, you can still see where I have glued the nut on there originally when I first bought the loco. But I have found a spare area here between these two plates where I could glue another nut of some sort, just to give that a bit more weight and hopefully free these wheels up. Seem to be spinning a little bit better, but I want to make sure that when the loco is moving you don't get the horrible annoyance of these wheels sticking as they running along the track. So I shall clean that up a bit more, add some more oil, and then refit it back to the loco. Right, so I've cleaned the wheels up and I've given them a really good spin, and they are moving a lot freer, and I have managed to glue another nut on the back side like I showed you earlier. So hopefully now that is spinning a lot better than what it was. Right, so let's start this video all over again. Well, I think that's the best it's ever ran, I think. It does pay to service the locos now and again, so I won't have to touch the K1 for a while. But I still have other locos that need that kind of attention. So, where were we? Yes. The oil lamp hut from last week. Great feedback. I love the feedback in the comments section because it does help me make up my mind. I mean, historically it should stay on the platform or as near as the platform it can go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to extend the platform to about there, and I'm going to extend it in such a way that it was always a part of this structure. So that's a quick and easy little project to do, so it shouldn't take me long to do that. I think historically it should be put at least here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clear some of this ballast away and use this brick paper that I've used here and extend the platform, not by much, by about 25-30 mil, and in that way I would have at least 40 to 50 mil here to make up that other building that we've seen in the photograph. So I shall take some measurements and quickly make up the extension of the platform before we go back to this center canopy, because I want to get that started and finished so we can move on with other areas of the station build. And this is what I had in mind. So we've extended the platform by about 20 millimeters, and I've made this card platform just to go on the end, and I think that will do the job. I think any more than that then it will look a bit out of place, and then we'll just place the hut on there, and it still leaves us a good 60-70 mil for the other shed. So yeah, all I've got to do now is put a top on this. All I've done is used 2 mil card, and I shall glue that in place once it's done. Yeah, I think that is the cunning plan. I love it when a plan comes together. About an hour or so later, and here we are. We have the platform extension added just to fit the oil lamp hut onto the end of the platform. And yeah, it does look as if though it was an afterthought and just stuck on the end of the platform, but it looks like it's been there for a while. And yeah, so just let me quickly explain what I did here with the stonework. Scribed it with a pen like I would do with a roof, and I mixed up two colours, a really dark brown and a light grey, but I painted the whole thing in a sand colour first, and while the paint was wet, that's when I added the various colours to the stonework, hence why we got so many different shades of stone. And after that was done, I just added a little bit of weathering powder also while the paint was wet, and hence why we got this variation, and it does look very realistic. And yeah, I'm quite happy with the way that has turned out. Yep, it's different to the platform, but I think it was always going to be like that. So once that paint has gone off, it's still a little tiny bit tacky at the moment, and once that paint has gone off, I'll just add a little bit more weathering powder to where the staff have been going in and out of the hut. So yeah, I thought I'd show you that before we move on. Right, back to the station build. So here we are, we're over at the bench, and it didn't take us long to quickly do that platform extension. But now we're going to focus on this center canopy. Right, so the first thing I want to do is see this cut here where we split the card. You see that little crevice we got there? So the first thing I want to do is to fill that in with a little bit of 2mm round rod. It'll hide the cut, and it'll also make it look like there's some extrusion going across the top, and it just finishes off that joint nicely. Now, there's no need for me to scribe this in any means, because I could do I could scribe it into 4 pieces, because it would have been an aluminium or something like that, or a metal strip that would have gone across the top of there. So that's what we'll do there. So we'll glue this in, and then we can focus on glazing both sides of this with some plastic sheet here. So we got some. This was a Christmas card, and I'm just using this sheet. It's quite thin, so what I'll do is I'll stick a piece either side, and then we'll create the frame in situ. That's the glass now glued on both sides, and what I've done here is, when I've cut the length of glass, I have overlapped the canopy by 2mm either side, and the glue has gone onto the card, and as you can see, it is almost a clear cut glue there. There's hardly any glue come onto the window. Now on the other side, and here on the other side, I'm using some 0.25 by 2.5 wide to cover up the trusses, to create the illusion of framework, and then in between that I'm using some 0.25 by 0.75 strips to create window panels. So as you can see there, so if I put 3 in between these 2.5s, it create a load of smaller windows going that way as well. So we shall see how this looks once it's all done. So that's a lot of cutting of these strips to do. I'm using contact adhesive for gluing all these strips, and if you're careful with it, you don't end up smearing the glass. So you've got to be really careful with it and try only to fit it very carefully and not touch the glass. As soon as you touch the glass, you can wipe off any excess glue with a Q-tip, and it doesn't seem to leave a smear, but you've got to be careful and reasonably quick when doing this. It's amazing what you can do with some polystyrene strips, and it just adds detail just by gluing them on. Like I said earlier, I use the contact adhesive, and it works quite well on the card and on the clear glass. As you can see, there's hardly any smear marks at all on this glass. Really neat job, but you've got to wipe it off as soon as you see some of that glue smudge. But if you put it on in small amounts, you shouldn't get any of the smudge. So that's that canopy done, and as you can see, I've added smaller strips in between the windows and the top and lower halves of the canopy, just to add that extra detail. Right, so this is ready for painting. So what I'll do is I'll leave the window frames white. I won't even paint them. What I'll do, I will dirty them down like I did with the canopy over at So Shields when I did that big canopy. I never painted the plastic white strips. I just weathered them down with some Citadel black wash, I think I used. So I'll do the same there. Yeah, let's see if we can flip this over so you can have a look at the underside. And when we flip it over, and that's what it looks like if you were on the passenger looking up. So yeah, it looks okay, I think. Right, so what I'll do, I shall paint that in a dark black with a slight hint of green, and we shall see what that shall look like. But I'm only going to paint the canopy. I'm not going to paint the stone walling just yet because there's more to add to that. The two colours that I've used for painting around the window frames is a matte black and a Humbrol 65, which is a really dark green, and I've just added the two together and we end up with this colour. And yeah, a little bit of paint goes a long way, as they say. So I'm just finishing off this side, the side that you can't see, because that's a bit of a nightmare to hold the camera, hold the tub that I've mixed the paint in, and paint the roof supports all in the same time. I think that would be a bit too difficult to do all at once, I think. Anyway, so that's where we are at the minute, and I think we're almost finished with the canopy there. So that's that painted. So all I have to do now is dirty up the windows there. The windows wouldn't stay that clean for very long, not in the steam era. While I'm waiting for the paint to dry, I thought I'd come back over to the platform and have a look at some of the space that is available for that other building. Now, reading the comments, Alfie John mentioned the fact that we have the name sign and the lamppost directly in the way, and yes, he's correct, it is in the way. And if I just place this rule here, now I'd imagine that building not being no bigger than 65 millimeters. So if we just come around, we can have a look. So that's directly in line where that lamppost is, but we can move that lamppost, we can move it over, fill in the hole and repaint the platform, so that's not an issue. I noticed in the photograph as well there's some fencing up the left hand side, so we can do that. We can fence that off so the passengers will be kept clear of this small area in here. So that's a possibility. So we can do it. We have the technology, we have the ideas, so I can't see a problem in putting that extra building in that space, and we will do it. And this is what it looks like without the station building in situ as well. It does look rather, well, empty. Meanwhile, back at the bench, the paint has now dried, and it's looking pretty good. The only thing we've got to do now is really grime up these window frames, and we'll do that in a minute. But the other thing I have done is I've added a couple of bits of card and a quarter round just underneath this capping stone there to put a support stone in. Don't know if we can give you a close-up on that. There we go. So now we can actually paint the capping stones. The Citadel paint we're using is the shade Mortorian Grime. It's like a dark green, a blackish green, so we'll just use that to take that white down quite a bit because it's too bright, too new. So we shall do that. So when you're doing this griming up on these frames, make sure you got cotton bud at the hand, at the ready. So all I'm doing is just going along that lower edge there, putting plenty on and just letting it seep in. And by the looks of it, I don't think I have to wipe any off. It's only if I put too much on. But well, that's what I'm doing. It's just toning down that white right along that edge. And we shall do that all the way around these window frames. All I'm doing is just taking back that white. Oh, a bit too much there. But you get my meaning. You can't hardly see it on the camera, but you can definitely see it. If I turn the windows down there, you can see it right along those edges. It just adds that grime look. And what a view that is. It's beginning to take shape, especially now the centre canopy is complete with its windows grimed down, dirtied up. And yeah, so let's have a closer look. As you can see along that lower edge and the upper frames, it does look pretty grimy. It's what you expect to see after years and years where the rainfall would gather. But yeah, I'm pleased with the way that that's gone. Even the windows glazing themselves has got a little bit dirty, but I'm not worried about that. And that is a good view, ideal for running shots. So we've come a long way this week. We've got the centre canopy finished, which I'm happy about, and we've also made an extension to the platform. Yes, because if I put the hut onto the gravel, there wouldn't have been no room for the building behind it, hence why I've gone for the extension of the platform, and I will move that lamppost to make additional space for the building. So yeah, it's all in the planning, but I wish I'd planned for it sooner, and I wouldn't have to drill another hole in the platform, but never mind. It's not the end of the world. Right, I think that's all from me, and I'm sure the driver of the engine there is waiting for me to finish the video so the passengers can get back on the train and on with that journey. Is that right, George? Right you are, Mr. Easton, we can go now. Right, we'll catch you again next time then. Right you are. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now. Bye.